another episode of the Regalia Awareness Series, where we don't just raise awareness, we raise the bar. Today, we're here with a personal development coach, and we have
Rahina Idris.
Awesome to meet you. All right, today we're peeling back the curtain on a topic that often hides in plain sight, the mental load. That invisible, exhausting checklist so many women carry in their minds every single day. From managing the home, to their careers and their relationships, to managing the kids, lots of expectations and emotional labor. It's like running a marathon while balancing a tray of glass cups, and somehow you're not allowed to drop even a single one. And when that pressure builds up unchecked, it turns into burnout, emotional and physical exhaustion, and also spiritual exhaustion. And the worst part, society claps while women collapse. So today we're sitting down with Mrs. Rahina Idris, passionate voice in the wellness and mental health space, to unpack the hidden crisis, how we can enlighten the load and breathe better and set ourselves free. Ready? Let's talk about what nobody talks about enough. All right, Mrs. Rahina, once again, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'll start off by asking Ms. Rahina, let's start from the beginning. What exactly is the mental load and why is it often invisible?
Mental load is the emotional or mental effort that goes unseen, invisible, just like you said. It's not visible. What we go through, like what people go through from the inside in carrying out their day-to-day activities, from maybe doing chores to managing the home, relationships, work, business, all put together. It's that effort that is unseen. And that is why you see a lot of women, for example, you see women doing a lot, but you find a situation where the husbands don't appreciate. They're like, oh, what has she been doing all day? But it's that effort, the unseen, behind the scenes, what they go through, that is the emotional, the mental load. And then it's invisible because obviously what is happening from the inside is not what people see. So you find out that it's just like your thoughts, you're thinking, nobody knows what's going on inside. You're burnt out, you're exhausted. Nobody knows the exact feeling that you're going through. So people can come out and just put a smile on their face and everyone thinks they're okay, but in reality, they're not.
All right. Keyword, invisible.
Yeah.
A lot of women don't even realize they're carrying this weight until they're like overwhelmed. And so what are some common signs that someone might be dealing with, I'll say, an unhealthy mental load?
Well, one of it is irritability, where they just feel irritated by so many things. Insomnia, lack of sleep. You find emotional numbness. They snap easily. There's some women, you just talk to them and you just see like it's there's constant outbursts. So there's a lot of signs to look out for. Then fatigue as well. Sometimes, you see people going through lots of fatigue, anxiety without really realizing what is happening. You find a lot of women have trips to the hospital thinking they're sick, but in reality, they go through the checks and nothing is, medically they're fit, but then physically they're not okay.
Oh dear. All right. Just my curiosity. In general, why is it especially common amongst women? Is it like societal conditioning, or are they deeper layers to this?
Absolutely. It's conditioning, because naturally, they say a woman is a nurturer. So there's certain expectations culturally that, women are expected to hold the space at home. They're supposed to look after the children, look after the husband, look after the family, the extended, So I think there's a cultural aspect to it. Of course, these things start from childhood, because the natural thing is, for a lot of people, especially in our societies, you have 4 children, 2 girls, 2 boys. The boys are allowed to go play, do the the running around the games, and then the women are, the girls are asked to wash the dishes, to clean up, to even look after their brothers, older or younger. So I think these things start, when you said, are they layer state? So yeah, we can say layer state because it's rooted from childhood. Okay. So culturally, I think there's this expectation that the woman has to have it all together. She has to, hold the space for everybody. So it becomes a natural instinct for women to want to take on everything, even when they don't need to.
Okay, so let's talk about the burnout. How does the burnout show up in women differently, especially when they're trying to do it all?
Burnout can, for some people, it could be in form of anxiety, fatigue. It could be, perfectionism. For some people, they just want, perfectionism. Everything has to be perfect. So it shows up in different ways. For some of them, it weighs them down. They go through excessive stress, levels of stress, and so it depends on the person. It could be one or many, one or more of these things. Yeah.
Right. You mentioned excessive stress.
Yeah.
So it got me curious. Does that mean burnout can affect your physical health or your mental health, emotional well-being?
Absolutely. Burnout can affect physical health. For some people, you see they're going through burnout or excessive stress. It induces physical ailments. Like we mentioned, anxiety, excessive stress, anxiety can actually show up over time if it's prolonged as physical ailments. Hormonal imbalance can be induced by stress. You also have indigestion, where people just think, I have an ulcer. It's because, I'm not eating, but in reality, ulcer can be actually induced by stress. And there's so many other chronic headaches. There's so many ailments. Some people even link, I've read, where they say, excessive stress can actually, induce cancers and, certain forms of cancers. Yeah. So definitely stress can induce physical ailments.
Okay. Well, you just mentioned stress and all the ailments this can cause. So with so many consequences, negative consequences, why do so many women then feel guilty of even wanting to rest? And how do we begin to unlearn that in our modern society?
I think it's the can do it all attitude, because women are just expected to do everything and be able to hold the space for everyone. So naturally, they just feel obliged to, they actually feel guilty, when they take rest, when they rest. So for me, I think one of the realizations, I think a lot of us do, but one of the realizations for me was when I came across something that said, rest is a right, not a reward. So it made me really think that we have to rest. And in reality, it's when you take a pause, the growth catches up with you. When you don't have moments of reflection, when you don't have moments where you just stop and, think about what's coming, how do you know where you need to improve? How do you know what needs to be done, or, the things that you need to take out, the things that you need to work on, so there's so many things, but, that rest is really important. One has to learn to take, moments where they allow their brain to also sleep.
Okay. So piggybacking off that, what are some boundaries you believe every woman should unapologetically set to achieve this?
Yeah. There's so many boundaries. I think that's an topic on its own. But boundaries, when we talk about boundaries, there's so many boundaries that we need to set. And it's something that a lot of women especially struggle with, setting boundaries. First of all, I will say boundaries around time. We need to set boundaries in our time, how we spend our time, because if you don't set boundaries around your time, you find like you become a prisoner to other people. A friend just comes in or somebody just walks in and says, oh, let's go this way. And before you know it, you're up and going. And there's so many important things that you need to do, but you've left them undone. So naturally, by the time you come back, so many things have piled up. The person becomes stressed. Then you also need to set boundaries, with, emotional boundaries where people need to know this is as far as you can go. Learn to say no. It's something that a lot of people struggle with, to say no, but we have to do that for our own mental health. One needs to learn to set boundaries in those areas. So there's so many other boundaries, but these are at least the major ones that, one can set for themselves to be able to reduce the amount of stress that they're going through.
Beautiful. So with thousands of people watching right now, a quick one, how can women begin asking for help without feeling like they're, failing in life? Meanwhile, it's a natural thing to ask for help. So
asking for help is not a weakness. I think that's really important that, people need to understand that seeking help or asking for support from others is not a sign of weakness. In fact, it's when you're vulnerable that people learn to connect with you. They see the human side of you. A lot of times when we have, especially us that are into this space of coaching, counseling, you see people come to you and there's this fear, like, what is the society going to think of me? You shouldn't feel guilty, because look at the other side of the coin. If you don't seek for the help, if you run your system down, at the end of the day, people will still say. So it's that fear of what would people say? How would people see me? Just because I'm asking for help, but there's nothing wrong in asking for help. So people need to learn to do it. It's not a sign of weakness. They need to be able to, ask for support when they need it, and also surround yourself with a good support system, positive people, not people that will drag you back, people that would actually pull you up when you're down, people that will help you move forward when you need to. Because sometimes, just like you mentioned earlier, there are times that, you're going through this certain stage in your life, you're overwhelmed, but you don't even realize it. It's that support system, the people around you that help you see that what I'm doing is, not right. I need to slow down, or I need to, audit, my day and see how I'm doing things and move things around, be able to put things in different boxes. Because a lot of times, people don't even understand the difference between what is important and what is urgent. And when you're not able to separate, it's not everything that is important that is urgent. Being able to separate, these things to help you to manage your life in a more efficient and effective way.
Thank you so much. But lastly, what advice do you have for women who feel like they've reached the point of, I'm tired of being strong all the time? I'm a man and I get to that place, so I want to know, what advice do you have for women who get to that level?
It's natural to feel tired. What's not natural is when you take the pause and you don't get up. So most importantly is for women to learn to not be too hard on themselves, learn to block the noise around them, because there's a lot of noise now. People are saying all the things that they're saying, but the reality is people will always say whatever you do, somebody would say. So block that noise and have that laser focus where you're heading, have a sense of purpose, a sense of direction. That would really help in your journey. And then, prioritize on your mental health. Self-care is extremely important. Look after yourself. Don't feel guilty for taking breaks. Don't feel guilty for saying no even to your husband or to your children. There are times that you just need to rest. And when it's that time, people begin to learn these boundaries over time. At first, you'll have resistance. It's a natural, you've been doing things in a certain way and suddenly you've stopped, people will resist. So, stay firm, you know, when you take this new turn or turn this new page in your life, stay firm. And over time, people will get used to it. They know that, oh, this is mommy's time. This is, you know, oh, it's her time. You know, she needs to rest.